a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
We only have a few hours, so listen carefully. If you're hearing this story, you're already in danger. Sadie and I might be your only chance. Go to the school. Find the locker. I won't tell you which school or which locker, because if you're the right person, you'll find it. The combination is 13, 32, 33. By the time you finish listening, you'll know what those numbers mean. Just remember the story we're about to tell you isn't complete yet. How it ends will depend on you. The most important thing, when you open the package and find what's inside, don't keep it longer than a week. Sure, it'll be tempting. I mean, it will grant you almost unlimited power. But if you possess it too long, it will consume you. Learn its secrets quickly and pass it on. Hide it for the next person, the way Sadie and I did for you. Then be prepared for your life to get very interesting. Okay, Sadie is telling me to stop stalling and get on with the story. Fine. I guess it started in London, the night our dad blew up the British Museum. Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Raye, following the path of Geb.
And I'm Charlie, following the path of Bast. Bro!
We made it! We're doing it!
It's
Fuck
here!
It up.
New
Fuck
series!
It up,
New series! New series! I want like a... Oh, you've seen Gallivant, right? I need like an edit of like their opening number for season 2 of Gallivant was like
I'm so sorry,
season.
I don't know enough about Gallivant.
Watch it. It's a musical TV show.
I know.
It's
I've seen a few episodes.
Satire. Oh my god, it's beautiful, and it's like you gotta watch it, man. Like knights and dragons and shit, and also weird political things. But like they were just like, oh, we're probably not going to get picked up for a season 2, whatever. And then they did. So like the season 2 opener is like a new season. Do 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 do. So that just like every time I just think about that, I'm like, whoa, we're doing it again. No way. Who would have thought?
We're doing it again. We're fucking doing it.
We're doing it. But this time it's Egyptian. Get fucked.
So I feel like we here in the West have less context for Egyptian gods than Greek gods, but that might just be me. But I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that like I'm the greatest at knowing everything about Egyptian stuff either. But like, let's take into account that Egyptian stuff is old.
That's true.
Like super fucking old.
Like we have lost probably half the context because all that shit was on like papyrus scrolls that withered away. I'm making that shit up, but
I mean, you're making it up, but like, are you?
It sounds right though, right?
I mean, I'm also picturing that, like, maybe there's, like, tons of writings all over, like, the pyramids and, like, the sphinxes. So, like, it's probably eroded away. Like, there's so much stuff that we just don't have because time?
Yeah.
Just because time erases everything.
The Egyptians been killing it for a long fucking time.
They really have. Oh, what's that thing is that, like, Cleopatra is like closer to the creation of the iPhone than the creation of like the pyramids.
Holy shit.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing that people say.
It's quite good. That's good contextualization, especially since like Cleopatra is involved in like a bunch of like Greek shit we've been talking about. So
I assume it is that Cleopatra. There were a few of them, but like I assume it's the one that most people talk about.
If it applies to one of them, it probably applies to her also. Anyways.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So we talked about a first chapter of a book we read here.
Brand new
book. It's called The Red Pyramid. Guess what? It's red. The book is red.
Yeah. You also have the hardcover. I also just took my sleeve off, or whatever you call them, the book cover.
I was rereading the whole thing. I finish it, and then I had to go back and read the first chapter.
Right.
So that we can record today.
And see, I'm gonna be taking the opposite approach to this, as in I'm gonna be the fresh take, which is like, because I have read these first 2 books before. I've never read the third one. So that's gonna be very exciting when we get there. And I've only ever read, well, I might have read The Red Pyramid like twice, but I don't know how much I remember of these, like a few of the Percy Jackson books. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I have less memories of basically all of the other series than I have the original one. The original one,
Right.
I read PJO like over 10 times.
That was like formative. Like,
that was very formative for me. And then like I did read all of these other ones, but then he kept pumping them out. He just kept coming up with them, and they were longer. And I'm like, I can't reread these every year. It's so much. So like that's what I used to do, is every time a new Here's Olympus book came out, I would reread the Percy Jackson series, and then the Here's Olympus books, like up until it. So, but then I couldn't do that anymore after a while.
Yeah, that's a lot of books.
It was so much. So this stuff, I don't know nearly as much. I don't know if we're going to have a myth section for every chapter. Just saying that right now, because like, I don't know enough about some of the context here to be like, oh wait, they're playing around with this story that like, or like this thing in Egyptian mythology, but they're not naming it, because sometimes that just kind of like happened.
Right.
In Percy Jackson, I could be like, oh, that's a reference actually. You didn't know that, but I knew that.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the myth section will become a special treat, you know?
It'll definitely be more of a special treat. Oh, we have 41 chapters here. Can't wait to get through this.
All right, well, let's fucking do it. There was a death at the needle.
There was a death at the needle. Okay, we gotta rate the chapters again. That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. Was there a death at the needle like currently?
Yeah,
like,
in the chapter? No. False advertising.
Fake news.
Rick Riordan up to his tricks again. It's a very good chapter title, though. I like it.
The way that it's like at the needle. You're just like, what?
Yeah.
What's
it's
a needle?
Intriguing.
What's happening? Very dramatic.
I did remember that it referred to an obelisk, because for some reason that stuck in my brain after having read this book the once. I was like, oh yeah, obelisks. So
love a good obelisk. They're very cool.
All right. So, note number 1 is that Rick Riordan has been downgraded from author to transcriber.
Yes.
These are audio logs from the Kane siblings, my beloveds.
Okay. Like, if we didn't already have, like, our own, like, whole system for this podcast, I'd be like, we need to, like, hire some actors and start a new podcast. Just transcribing, or not, opposite of transcribing, audio logging this book.
Copyright, my dude. They get our asses.
But you know what I mean. Like, This
do it
this
as an audio
podcast.
play. Yeah.
This should be a podcast.
It would be so lovely.
You get the narrators for like those two, and then you get the other actors for like when they're saying stuff as well. Like, just, I have thoughts and opinions on how this would go. It's so interesting. It's intriguing.
So they do, like, point out a couple of times in the chapter, like, Carter will be like, I'm describing Sadie and she's sitting right next to me, I better do a good job. So every time that Carter says something slightly snarky about Sadie, I imagine her, like, smacking him in the background of the audio.
Yeah, as you should. There should be like a parentheses the wump or something
Yeah,
every
there
so often.
should, because Rick says in his little intro portion here that background noises such as scuffling, hitting, and cursing by the two speakers have not been transcribed, and I'm like, why not? Rick, you done fucked up. Give me that shit. All right. So the actual contents of the chapter.
Tell me the plot. Tell me the meat and bones.
All right, Carter and his not at all suspicious dad drop into London to pick up his sister, Sadie. Some guy is waiting outside Sadie's house, and Dad knows that guy, and he goes over to talk to him, and Carty decides that is not his problem. Sadie decides that this is absolutely her problem, and she sneaks over to eavesdrop on them, and Carter has to, follow. They seem to be getting into quite the heated argument, and talking about, a duel, like they're about to fight. So Sadie interrupts them. And they go out to drive towards the museum. Dad is acting super normal, spacing out, talking about Mom's death for the first time ever, asking if the kids still have those amulets that they have, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And they make it into the museum, the one that Carter foreshadowed that Dad was going to explode at the top of the chapter, but apparently that's going to wait till next time. So, this is not a plot-heavy chapter. We're probably going to spend a lot more time talking about, character backstory and stuff, because that's what most of the meat was, I feel.
Yeah, most of the meat is just like that.
Yeah, mostly it's just Dad acting real friggin' weird.
Oh well. Dad, listen, he's a buff evil scientist, and we love him. Listen, this is everything that Dr. Doofenshmirtz wishes he was. Once again, we are a Phineas and Ferb podcast first. Rick Riordan podcast second.
God. All right.
So, I do have a myth for this chapter, in fact.
I thought you might.
Because we had exactly one thing mentioned. Hey, yo, in case you missed it.
But
let's talk about the Eye of Horus.
Yes.
So, this is saying it's specifically the left eye, I guess? Maybe? The left wedget eye. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Or legit eye? I'm probably pronouncing these things wrong. I am sorry. I don't speak Egyptian or Ancient Egyptian.
Or Greek either.
Or Greek. But that's not... I mean, some of these things are going to be, my brain is Greekized? Grecianized? How does that work?
Oh. Interesting.
Because we have anglicized. But, because some of the, Egyptian names do get, transformed into Greek.
So... I didn't know that, actually.
Yes. There is a lot of crossover and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. One of the good ones is Thoth, or Toth. However you want to say that. That's actually Greek.
Wow. You're blowing my mind, actually.
You're welcome.
I should have figured that out, but...
Okay, so Horus has this whole left eye deal going on, and it's similar to the Eye of Ra, but should not be confused with it. So Horus's is the left eye. The Eye of Ra, I want to say, is the right eye, specifically, because of these things. And yeah, it's the Eye of Horus. It's connected between him and his whole deal with Set, because they had a whole big fight, and Set tears out Horus's eye. This is one or both of them. I didn't know it was both of them. That's interesting. And then he gets healed. It's fine. He gets better. His eye's torn out. He gets better. Thoth, in fact, is the one who heals it and makes a new one for him. And then it's super cool. And I guess it looks like this. Which, do we not love how the book has, the pictures drawn for us?
Yeah, it's very
nice. Things?
With pictograms being so important to, Egyptian writing, makes sense that we would get some symbology.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very cool. And, okay, I'm at least not seeing it on the Wikipedia, but Carter was saying somewhere about that it's, a simplified RX, the medical symbol.
For pharmacies, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Literally, I went to the Wikipedia for the medical prescription thing, and I'm not seeing that on here.
You make that shit up, Rick.
I want to know where Rick found this information. Please tell me. Because, like, yeah, there's some, like, the symbol of the Eye of Eye of Horus is, like, well-being, healing, and protection. It does symbolize, like, a few of those things. It's, like, an injury that has to be healed and all of that shit. And also, like, it also symbolizes the moon, kind of, because of, like, the waxing and waning for, like, the injury and, like, healing of the eye. And I think that also makes sense with Thoth as well, because he's also, like, a moon deity, and he's the one who made the eye for Horus. So
sweet.
Yeah.
I googled it, and I am finding other sources that say
you are?
yes.
Okay.
History.com.
Do we trust history.com?
I don't know. Like, this could all be, like, conjecture, like, one person, like, made it up and then it spreads.
Yeah.
But, you know, anything we find on Wikipedia could be the same thing, so...
So, if you look at the eye, I can see how you could get an R from it. I don't know where the X comes from.
Yeah, the other little line at the bottom of it.
I definitely could see an R here.
Right.
But it's weird.
I do like thinking about how this eye has, like, particular makeup. You know, do you think like there's a tradition of, like, doing Eye of Horus makeup?
I have questions about that. Let's see. Is there anything? I mean, let's see. Here's in ritual specifically. There is a section for that.
Oh, yay! That's so good.
Osiris Smith, you offered the Eye of Horus to Osiris for funerals, I guess. Okay.
Okay, so this is talking about what it's associated with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really saying anything about necessarily people wearing the makeup, but that would be super fucking cool. Eye is also equated with Mat. We'll talk about that eventually. Oh my god, another reason we gotta get Mats on here. Wait, what's the chapter that I'm gonna talk about that? I'm gonna force Mats on to talk about Mat.
Excellent. It's all coming together.
Oh my god. Should I tell him beforehand, or do I just make it a secret? Okay, yeah, so there's definitely some, like, symbolism and festivals. Like, they're saying, like, there's a moon festival involved with, like, the Eye of Horus. Yeah, something going on there. Okay. What else is there in the mythology? Yeah, I don't want to get involved in the Horus Set conflict too much, because there's a lot going on there. But the one good thing about there is that not only Set takes Horus's eye. Guess what? Horus takes from Set.
Yeah.
His testicles.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
It's healed. He gets better. But still, it's like a whole thing. Oh, Set. Okay, so there's one source here that's like Set took the form of a black boar when he struck Horus's eye. That's interesting. Okay. There's a version where instead of Thoth healing the eye, instead it's the goddess Hathor, who I believe is usually Horus's wife. She's like a healing goddess specifically. She restores them by anointing them with the milk of a gazelle. I don't know why she needs the milk of a gazelle specifically. She's also a cow goddess, so, like, I think you have your own milk.
Gazelle milk more rare, more special.
Yeah. Okay, there's another thing about gazelle milk. I have questions about that. Restoring the eye is referred to as filling the eye. Well, I mean, if it's taken out, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You fill the socket with something. Now I'm just gonna think about Baldur's Gate. One of the characters is a black guy with one eye, and instead, there's like a weird stone that looks like an eye in its place.
Nice.
Will is great. Will deserves more love.
So I've heard from the girlies on Tumblr, specifically the people I follow.
I mean,
I don't know.
They were gonna make a better story for him. They fucked it up. So now he just kind of like, he's kind of a milquetoast character.
Some of the people love the man.
Listen, I think he's a great dude. I think he's wonderful. The problem is everyone else is edgy. And he's just like the white knight in the corner who's just like, oh no, I look so ugly because I have horns now. And you're just like, bruh?
bestie.
What are you saying about Karlach? She's over there. She's got one curly horn and the other one is broken. What are you saying? You're at a party full of tieflings. Shut up. Anyway, I love Will. He's just not my favorite. So like one-eyed people is like, it's just a whole thing. Eventually we'll get into Odin, but that'll be like 10 years from now. Don't worry about it. This is a whole big thing that I do not really want to talk about, because that is some sexual assault things involving the Set and Horus thing.
Boo.
Yeah. It's like actually pretty prevalent in their mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And I only learned that long after reading this series, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this now.
Sincerely discomforting implications.
Yeah, very discomforting. Don't love it. But hey, it's a protection against evil eye. That's the important thing. It happened during a fight. Horus is super cool, and now everybody's like, hey, this eye, it's fucking awesome. Let's go for it. So as a symbol, it says it's a stylized human eye or falcon eye.
That makes sense.
Let's take a look at some falcons. Does it look like a falcon eye?
In my brain, yes.
I want to put this makeup on a falcon and like like not a real falcon, but like you know like draw it onto a picture and be like, hey, look.
I think that's just a picture of Horus. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is just a picture of Horus, but like what's on the Horus? The thing is, like, when you look at the Horus wiki, he just has a falcon head. He doesn't even have the eye. That's the problem I see here, is that you don't actually see him with the eye.
Well, they did take it out, so I guess that probably makes some sense.
No, the eye is the picture of the new.
This is his new cool eye. Okay.
This is his new cool eye. And it's like, you don't even see him with it.
I thought it was the other eye.
No. This is supposed to be
he should have that then.
Awesome eye. It's the replacement. Yeah, why don't you have it in your pictures, Horus? You need to like update your profiles. Come on. What's spreading this misinformation about yourself?
Yeah, bro.
It's okay. You're disabled. You got one eye that didn't work. Okay, someone thinks it might be the eye looks like some markings from a cheetah, or like looks kind of like the sky and stars.
That I do not see, but
I don't know. Oh no. The facial markings of a cheetah are associated with the sky and stars, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. It's on a lot of amulets in many different materials. We have glass, gold. What is this? Egyptian faience. It's quartz. Don't worry about it. Or lapis lazuli.
Yay!
We love some nice blue.
All right.
Yeah. It's just very cool. It's got its own hieroglyphic. It's a symbol of protection. That's most of the thing. And basically any Egyptian series is gonna have this thing on it somewhere.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well,
that's how you know it's Egyptian.
You see Ra or Horus more often. I feel like maybe Ra is more popular, actually.
I feel like they are often confused is the problem.
Yes, that too.
Because it's just they're mirror images of each other. Mm-hmm. There is like the only difference is that one is like this side and the other is the other side. So there's not really much distinction. If you're a layman and you don't know anything about it,
I wouldn't notice.
You're gonna be like, oh, it's the Eye of Horus, probably, because I feel like that's the slightly more known name for the eye. I
disagree.
Symbol.
I feel like so? Ra is more. That's what I would hear and think about.
Okay. I usually at least see people being like, oh, it's the Eye of Horus. Oh, it's the Eye of Horus. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm gonna believe you if you say so. All right. Let's talk about our wonderful protagonist, Carter Kane.
Carter, my sweet boy.
First we gotta talk about his opening page.
Yes,
because instead we can be like, look, I didn't want to be a half-blood.
We're following a tradition here, but with a very different spin. Okay, first line. We only have a few hours, so listen carefully. I bet that this audiobook is longer than a few hours. So logistically, I think he just lied to us.
The Red Pyramid audiobook length. Tell me the length. Oh, that's a few hours. That's 14 hours.
Yeah. Kids, you're lying to me.
14 and a half hours to listen to you guys tell us a story. I feel like you could have done it shorter. It didn't need to be 41 chapters. Really
they wanted to make sure we had all the details.
The other books aren't this many chapters. Were they not as important details? Huh?
Well,
I
there's
don't know.
only 3 books in this one, so it's different.
Alright, so he's like, you gotta go to a school, find a locker. The combination is 13, 32, 33. You'll know what that means after you read this book. Raye, do you remember what those numbers mean?
I do not. I don't know what that means.
Okay, cool. I remember.
Okay. Well, of course you do. You literally just read it.
I mean, I remembered it even before I reread it. I was just like, all right, it's the numbers. Cool. Interesting. And then, yeah, you have to find some item. We don't know where the school is. We don't know what the locker is. We just know that there's an item, and then you're gonna have to keep it for a little bit and then hide it.
Yeah, don't keep it longer than a week, because it's tempting. It will grant you almost unlimited power, but you can't hold on to it for too long. Pass it on. Very, very fascinating stuff.
We're playing hot potato with a random item.
With an item. I also don't remember what the item is. I
don't
remember a
think
lot of
we're
character
actually-
details. I remember a lot of world building details. I don't think I remember the plot of this book that well.
I was gonna say, I always remember what the item was and the numbers. I don't even remember. I just read this chapter and I'm like, I don't even remember what school they went to. I don't even remember where they had this item necessarily.
Maybe don't
they
even
just
know where
went to
the
a random
item
place.
is. Gosh, Charlie, are you even paying attention?
Listen, I'm not gonna. If I were a small child and I knew that information, I would probably go to that school and find that locker.
Right,
And
he
do
can't
the
tell us the
thing.
real place, or else
That's
the
probably
children will
why.
swarm.
So we meet Carter. He's 14. His home is a suitcase. Poor guy.
Yeah, we get
Oh,
a lot
boy.
of character building. He's traveled around the world, but mostly Egypt, with his archaeologist dad his whole life. Just,
was
just
born
going
in
around
LA?
places, not running from anything, probably, hopefully, he
Probably
thinks.
not. But they don't stay in places for too long. Sometimes his dad gets nervous and he holds his work bag very, very tightly.
Yeah. He gets one carry-on suitcase. That's his whole earthly possessions. My poor boy.
I mean, his dad also does, but his dad gets an extra bag of items that we don't know what it is. It's just his work
you're
bag.
not supposed to look in the work bag.
It's his archaeology tools, is what he says.
Uh-huh. Clearly perfectly normal archaeology tools.
Clearly. Absolutely. Totally normal. So Carter didn't go to school.
His dad just taught him whatever shit he thought was interesting, like basketball stats.
And musicians and Egypt. That's it. Carter is definitely a YA fantasy girly. Literally, he read history books to fantasy novels, anything. He just read books, okay? He likes a good book. But everything here happened on Christmas Eve. So, Merry Christmas, y'all. It's August. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. They are in London, which means that it's probably snowy as fuck.
Yeah.
It seems like it should be, at least. I don't feel like that gets mentioned in the chapter here. No, it says drizzly and cold.
I mean, it's London, so it's mild.
I think of London as cold. I don't know if I got that impression from fucking Charles Dickens or what.
I mean,
but
it's definitely cold, but it's warmer than it should be because of you know the thing about the currents, right?
No.
The currents come up from I think the Gulf or whatever, and they go up around to where England is, and then that area just is a lot warmer than
weirdly temperate,
where it should be, based on where it is in the world. But
because of tropical underwater streams. Fascinating.
It's very interesting and weird. It's definitely going to be overcast because it's London.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's snowing, who's to say? But
so
there are clouds.
Sadie is a British schoolgirl, and
Who's
they
Sadie?
only see her twice a year. That's Carter's sister, and that's
He has
who
a
we're here
sister.
to pick up in London.
He has a sister. He only sees her twice a year.
She lives with their grandparents, who hate his dad.
So they see each other once a year in the winter and once a year in the summer. I want to know what the summer date is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they get Christmas Eve. And she calls it, she doesn't say Christmas Eve, she says Visitation Day. Like, that's the holiday they're celebrating.
I mean, is it always Christmas Eve? Or is it just
Maybe
like any 2
not.
days a year?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just says only 2 days a year. It's not super specified. Yeah, but so he only got custody of Carter because the grandparents really wanted to keep Sadie. They had a whole big argument over it, many court battles after the kid's mom died. And apparently there was also a spatula incident that we don't talk about, but I want to know about. Rick, where's my short story about the spatulas? So the grandparents, I think they're named in this chapter, the Fausts. Faust. I'm sorry.
See, normally I wouldn't care about a last name, but Faust is like a whole thing. I'm like, is that like relevant? Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, listen, many years of just reading these things, I was just like, oh, okay, I don't know what the significance here is. Their name is weird.
Mm-hmm.
The Fausts? Okay. the Fausts.
Right.
They're interesting people. So they kept Sadie, and they did not keep Carter. Very interesting. They did not care about him. I wonder why.
Charlie is giving a significant look to the camera, which you can't see because this is an audio medium.
We get a description of her.
Yes, the implication here, let me just tell you, it's racism.
It's racism!
The children are half white and half black. Sadie is white passing, Carter is not. The answer that Carter in the story here gives is that Sadie was younger and, like, they wanted to take care of her, and, you know, maybe they just didn't care about him. It's racism.
It's fully racism. Like, Mom was the white one, so they wanted to keep Sadie because Sadie looks like Mom, and she's the one passing. So, like, yeah, give Carter, the one who's, like, darker skinned, to Dad. Whatever, we don't care. We don't like Dad. He's gonna remind us of Dad.
Yeah, super normal behavior. Which I was trying to say sarcastically, but actually that is really unfortunately common for people to be really racist. Anyways.
Fuck that. Okay, so here's where we get the description of Dad, and how, like, he's a DILF.
Is this your type?
Listen, it's not even just that I have a type, it's more just that I'm like, wow, people are attractive. And, like, hearing that he's a buff evil scientist, I'm just like, oh god, he's gonna be hot. Right? He's gotta be a hot man.
You do love an evil scientist. I get that impression from you.
I mean, Doofenshmirtz is not my type, specifically. I just want to be besties with him.
Yeah.
There's a difference there. But like, this is, you know... And then there's Dr. Chase, and I don't think Dr. Chase is, like, a buff evil scientist type. He's just, like... he's just a nerdy man. He's just small, autistic, nerdy man. No, this is a man. This is the big evil scientist.
Carter describes him as an evil scientist here because he is bald with a goatee.
Yeah. He exudes confidence, which Carter does not.
My sweet boy. I love Carter so much.
Carter is the definition of a little guy. Okay?
Carter is a little guy in a very different way from how Percy is a little guy. They both have little guy energy, but Carter is like, forgive me for using my Tumblr terminology, but he is a cinnamon roll, too pure, too good for this world.
Correct! Carter is a cinnamon roll. Percy is a cinnamon roll, but with an S.
Yeah.
Because he would sin. Anyway, so
then Carter describes sometimes that it seemed like Dad was incredibly suspicious. You know,
He's sus. Dad's sus.
yeah, running onto planes, somehow subduing 3 gunmen and hanging them by their feet from a chandelier.
It's fine.
Okay,
Totally
the
fine.
police blamed
Normal.
a freak chandelier malfunction. Very Rick joke right there.
I love how the opening of this book is just like, it feels so just like, wow, this is a YA protagonist with like a weird parental figure. Like, I don't know why this feels like very tropey to me.
It characterizes Carter very interestingly because Carter being like, yeah, my life is totally normal, and then describing like this completely out of pocket shit, and you're like, buddy, please, what? This never struck you as odd? And the answer is that it did, and that in order to like maintain a sense of normalcy, he decided to ignore it. And I love that for him. I feel like that's very interesting.
I mean, it was either he questioned it and didn't get answers, or he ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he could do anything about the life that
Carter
he had, really.
is a kid who does not want to get in trouble, and I support him for that. Me too, buddy.
Poor guy. His life's gonna go in fun directions. Because he's a YA protagonist.
Is he more YA protagonist than Percy to you because he has like a weirder light origin story? Like,
yeah, I don't know why. There's just like there's something about like he like feels like he's in like the magical world even more than Percy is at the start.
right, because Percy had a couple of experiences, but not this drastic. I feel like they were like able to just be explained away, but it's not like he didn't have as many experiences as Carter has had here. You know, he kept getting kicked out of schools for reasons,
and
that's also a very specific life experience. It's just not as like off the wall.
I guess it's also the fact that like it's the adult authority figure who's involved in this as well, whereas Sally was not really involved in any of that. It was just Percy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, there's like Percy is like in between Carter and Sadie. Whereas Sadie is just kind of like living as a normal British schoolgirl, and then Carter is like living this weird life on the run, maybe, and then Percy's just getting kicked out of schools.
Okay,
so like,
okay.
So you see what I mean? Like, there's kind of like a
spectrum,
medium, whereas Carter feels like the more extreme version of like, wow, there's something weird about my life. Okay, so yeah, we talk about how the work bag is like the good luck charm.
Good luck, he says, as if any of the things that happen with it are explainable. They got caught in a riot, and every car around them was turned over, and smashed, and theirs somehow was freshly waxed and polished, with several 20-euro notes tucked onto the windshield wipers. And he's like, yeah, that's normal luck. That's just a thing that happens. And I'm like, Carter, buddy.
It's like Dad kept it close because they needed good luck, because bad shit was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's like it's good luck, but it's mostly like we need to survive this. So he's like, oh, some people, he doesn't really have friends, but like when he meets people, they're like, wow, you're so lucky you get to travel, and he's just like, I feel like a fugitive. I'm not a tourist. I'm a fugitive. Clearly,
I have one suitcase. We never stay anywhere longer than a couple days. I'm not living in style here.
And then, okay, do you want to go to one of, is Carter's dad, does he have a doctorate in Egyptian stuff? Is he Dr. Kane, or is he just Mr. Kane?
I'm assuming doctor.
Did they say that?
I don't know that it has been specified.
I just don't want to be like Mr. Kane, but would you go to one of his lectures? Would you go to a lecture by Julius Kane?
Of course I would. It sounds fascinating. No, I wouldn't go to favorite punishments in the Egyptian underworld. I don't like torture talk, but I would go to Can Egyptian Magic Really Kill You?
It's a good question. Yeah. And then there's the part where they rush to an airport, like, and Dad would just not relax until the plane had taken off. Carter asked about the thing. Once again, you ask the question, nothing is given. Literally, Dad is like, it's nothing.
But
But
the line here is as if nothing were the most terrible thing in the world. Like, this man is
it's
terrified of
nothing.
something. Right. Carter's avoidance is a trauma response, I am just now thinking in my brain.
Mm,
Yeah. He's like,
you're correct.
something worse is gonna happen if I try to address it. Yeah.
All right, we already need therapy for this boy. Let's
Mhm.
go. I mean, clearly.
Everybody in these books needs therapy, of course.
All right, so we are going to see Sadie finally. They live near Canary Wharf, which I think I remember this from Doctor Who. I think I remember this location. I want to say that's where the original Torchwood was.
Oh, fascinating.
All right, we see a strange man that Dad has to go talk to. This man looks like a jazz musician, and Carter instead has to go get Sadie while Dad goes and talks to this strange man. What does Carter do? He does what he's told. And Sadie is just like, late as usual, whatever. Didn't even let him knock.
Oh,
And
Sadie.
she's got a cat.
Her
You
cat,
gotta love her.
Muffin.
The cat looks like a muffin, clearly. No, it just looks like an Egyptian cat. It's pretty cool.
The cat also has a pendant. Nice.
Yeah, very good. So even though Sadie's only lived in England for 6 years, she has a British accent, apparently.
That's half her life. This is
It
not
is.
strange.
I just think it's funny that it's like, since she was 6, and then she moved to Britain, and then she got an accent.
She's
Amazing.
a little London schoolgirl.
Yep.
And I'm delighted by her every day.
A little London schoolgirl who wears a leather jacket, combat boots, ripped jeans. Like, she's got chewing gum. Look at this chick.
She is punk at 12 years old. I love her. She's so funny.
The new Thalia.
Sadie's not quite as punk as Thalia.
That's true. She still has blonde hair. Okay, so we don't even get to meet the grandparents because Grandma's like, "Don't let them in!" And
Carter doesn't actually hear what she says, but he figures it's something like that.
Muffin goes back inside, and Sadie leaves with Carter. And then, like, oh, who's that talking to Dad? I don't know, but he told me to just, like, get you, go back to the taxi. No, we're not going to do that. We're actually going to go and see who this guy is. We're going to suss the situation out.
Sadie has protagonist energy. She's ready to, like, make shit happen.
She does. It's true. Carter has the backstory. Sadie has the personality.
Carter's the kind of character you don't want to make in D&D because he's too passive. You need to make active characters to make shit happen.
I love this line, though, that he says, 6 years in England, and she thinks she's James Bond. Amazing. Okay, so we
overhear that this guy's name is Amos.
Is that how you say it?
Amos?
Amos. I don't know how to say his name. How would you pronounce this? Tell me, Google. That's a Bible pronunciation. Thank you.
Google is being annoyingly unhelpful.
They're giving me advertisements. That's not helpful.
Amos. Found it. There you go. On how to pronounce.
Amos? Okay. Like Seamus!
Which is a name that I know and have heard before. Like, it's not an unusual name.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, again, it's one of those, like, reading, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Do I know how to pronounce this name, actually?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between reading it and hearing it.
There is.
So yeah, he's basically threatening their dad, saying that the Per-Ankh is shadowing you. If I don't stop you, they will. Ooh.
They don't know about my plan. He's got a plan.
Yeah. And it's like they're about ready to fight when Sadie's like, Dad! And she hugs him to stop the fight.
She's so good. I love her. And he's like awkward and just kind of shuffles away.
But he looks kind of familiar. Interesting. Don't know why.
To both Sadie and Carter. Like a very distant memory.
So they are gonna go to the British Museum. Because, of course, even on their visitation night, he has to do some research.
Yeah, gonna go look at Egyptology shit, of course.
I mean, of course. Oh yeah, so we learn how mom and dad met.
Because he's
Okay, is it-
thinking about her.
Yeah, so dad was an Egyptologist, mom was an anthropologist looking for ancient DNA.
And they fell
You
in
know?
love. A dig for a lost tomb.
Are those both sciences, technically? Okay.
Yeah.
My brain is just like two young scientists. I don't think of those things as sciences. But yeah.
Huh. They are.
My brain is just like, oh, that's like they're one of these things is history. I mean, she's looking for DNA. Egyptology doesn't feel like a science to me. Okay, so they stop somewhere, and they've stopped at Cleopatra's Needle. Now it's an obelisk, and it has nothing to do with Cleopatra. Apparently.
Love that.
Is there any reason why this thing? Why? Just why?
This book did teach me what an obelisk is as a child.
There's multiple? There's what? Cleopatra's Needles. There are 2 of them. Okay. There's one in New York and there's one in London.
Oh,
of course there are! Fucking course there are. Why is it called Cleopatra's Needle, though? Explain this.
Just cuz.
Just because she sounds like an Egyptian name? Oh my god.
Where did they come from? I mean, Egypt, so it says, but...
I'm trying to figure this out, what it's saying. Originally made in, Heliopolis, modern Cairo, during the New Kingdom.
So they took some...
Yeah. Okay, they were moved around the time of a Cleopatra.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Makes enough sense to me.
They were moved to Alexandria at the time of that. So, I don't know. I feel like that's weird, though. I still wouldn't have called them that. Because they were, like, around the time of Ramses. They were made, I mean, whatever. I'm not here to go into the history of this shit.
So they stop outside the Needle, and Sadie is, like, pissed, because she's like, why are we doing, like, touristy shit? I live here.
Well, you don't know anything about it, apparently.
I mean, it's not like she knew that apparently her mom died there.
Yeah, so Dad goes, like, very, very dramatic for a minute. He's like, it's the last place I saw her. Oh? What? Bruh? Why did you say that?
Yeah, if anyone is in, like, a YA or an anime in this book, it's actually their dad.
Dad is in an anime, actually. Specifically. The wind can't blow in his hair, so it's blowing his goatee. Actually. Oh my god. Okay, so the grandparents did blame their dad for mom dying, but we didn't know how she died before this.
Or where. And Sadie's, like, pissed off.
And she's passed this so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like, do you still have your cat? Do you still have your amulet? This is where we have the amulet talk. And she's just like, I don't care about any of that. Like, I have it, whatever. Tell me about mom.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't got time for that, because instead we see random people in the distance. We see a tall, pale man with a forked beard in robes, and then a girl in dark blue robes and a headscarf.
They stand there, and then the light fades, and they melt into a fuzzy afterimage, like a mirage, perhaps? Dun dun dun.
Ooh.
It doesn't say that word in the book, but that's what I thought.
I mean, that's the thing you know about the desert. Deserts create mirages! Ooh. Anyway. Yeah, so,
and Dad is like, he doesn't acknowledge the people, but is like, get in the car. We gots to go.
Yeah. And then they ask questions, he ignores their questions, he's just like, whatever. I need your help, I need you to be patient, I'll explain everything, I'm gonna make things right.
Dad, this is incredibly suspicious.
Tell us what you mean! Explain yourself, sir! I
mean, we heard at the top of the chapter that Dad is going to commit a terrorism, so, like...
Yeah.
Very, very concerning behavior.
And what is Carter immediately thinking that he's gonna make right? Their mother's death? What? Carter, what do you think he's gonna do? What do you think?
I don't know. And then Dad says, follow my lead when we meet the curator, act normal? What? What does that mean, Dad? We were gonna act... We are normal. Is the curator?
None of them are normal.
And then
and then they run out of the cab, they get their luggage, Dad pays the driver, and then throws some objects into the back seat. Tells him, keep driving, take us to Chelsea.
And Carter's like, huh? But when the cab drives away, he thinks that he sees 3 people in the back.
And it's just like, okay, Julius Kane is like, London cabs don't stay empty very long. What is with you and your ominous bullshit, Julius Kane? This man is an edgy anime protagonist.
Yeah.
If I have ever seen one. Yeah, so Sadie's gonna follow because she wants an explanation, and Carter's just like, well, I guess I'm coming.
Carter is not sure that he wants to know, and I feel him.
And he's just along for the ride.
Yep.
And that's the first chapter.
We did it!
We did it. We talked about the Canes and the death of the needle. Good times. Okay, do we have plugs?
I do. And I know that I'm late. Hey, so Chappell Roan, you know her? Her star is rising. She's on the charts. The people are listening to her. So you don't need me to tell you to go listen to Chappell Roan, but you should go listen to Chappell Roan. If you haven't checked out like the whole album, Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, it's so fucking good. There's gay people in it. Yeah. I feel like the last song on the album, Guilty Pleasure, is like a real sleeper. People are missing that one, and how good the fucking yodeling is in it. Please listen to that song for me. That's all.
We'll do, my dude. Okay, I figured out my plug. Because I was holding off on plugging this fan artist until we started this series. There's an artist, Karen De La Vega. You can find at Karen De La Vega Art. She draws very good Can Chronicles fan art, specifically. Like, she's done some of the other series as well, but, like, mostly it's Can Chronicles shit, and it's very good. Obviously, spoilers.
Yeah.
But we love. It's
sometimes you just get obsessed with a very specific thing, and that is so cool and valid.
I just them. Just like I see the images and I'm like, oh, it's them. It's the Canes. Very
Good.
much. What was in my mind is now reality.
So Charlie, how does this podcast end now? Do I still say release us from this moral coil?
Yeah, I think that's very much cemented into a part of our outro now.
All right, and then what happens? Because
then,
there's no cabins.
There's no cabins, but now instead you have to get the fuck out of my house.
Carter doesn't even have a house.
Don't worry, you'll get the reference soon enough.
Okay, good. All right. I'm removing myself.
Remove yourself.
Getting in the taxi.
Get in the taxi, but actually don't, because I'm gonna throw some stones in it, and it's gonna look just like you as it drives away.
That's scary. I don't know how that happens.
This is a horror movie shit.
Okay, everyone, bye.
Bye. Of the Eldest Gods would like to thank its $10 and up patrons. This means you're either in the Savior of Olympus tier or the God Complex tier on our Patreon, patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. Thank you all so much for your support, especially Matt, our God Complex patron.
You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr. You can send us a message through the Duat to oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about the Riordanverse or whatever else. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology, no promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. If you want to hear more from me, Raye, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. You can also hear my voice on 2 other podcasts. I co-host another podcast on the network with the meme maker Robert called The Bits, where we talk about the Cartoon Network show Steven Universe. I also co-host a non-network podcast with my buddy Ethan called Mysteries in the Machine, where we talk about all things Scooby-Doo. Our music was created and produced by Isabel Strauss-Riggs. You can find Isabel at Kane I, that's I is in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now we are discussing The Kane Chronicles. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday.
Have you ever gotten so distracted in Stardew Valley that you forgot to sleep? Have you realised that you have a whole room in your house full of dolls? Or have you even bored your friends to sleep talking about your passion? Well then, Content Capable is the podcast for you. Join me, Sam, as I chat to people passionate about what they do, asking questions about how they fell in love with their passion, what they do, and how it interacts with their day-to-day lives. Catch the podcast every Monday as I find out what makes someone tick, all while gleaning interesting and insightful life lessons along the way. There'll be laughs, a bit of crying, a whole lot of conversations, and we learn just a little bit more about the world around us.
Whoa! I just ran my chair into my desk. That's fine.
Deus Ex Media.